Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show, SUPER-CAST. I am Mo your resident Fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'm joined by my good friend. He's an anime expert, a lover of all video games, and of course, a big fan of superheroes. My good friend Lottie. Lottie, how you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Oh man, we just excited, man. It's
Yeah.
Loki Wednesday. It's Loki
Oh
Wednesday,
yeah.
and it's been a pretty awesome Loki Wednesday.
Feels
Uh,
like a Friday.
well, they did give us a lot of give us a big gift, and it's also not just Loki Wednesday. It's also uh, what is it, Black Widow Eve, because Black Widow's coming out tomorrow. So it's an exciting weekend coming up ahead of us, and especially in the superhero space. So this is what a week. It's been just a real week of news, and things are moving forward. So I'm excited to sit and talk with you about it today, sir. If you're ready to dive into the show today.
Of course, man.
All right.
I'm excited.
Well, you guys know, if you're new to the Supercast, we of course, Mole Boupe and Lottie, we talk about all things superhero in the pop culture space. So, not comic books per se, but superhero stuff in TV, movies, video games, all that fun stuff right there. And we just kind of try to keep up with all of that stuff. And one of the ways we do that is we get down and we talk about the news, because there's so many things are happening in Hollywood and in the various game studios everywhere around the world. So and superheroes are the thing to do, and we just like to keep up with what's going on in the world of superheroes in pop culture. So why don't we dive into that right now, Lottie? We're gonna look at some of our news, just a few of the news items that really caught our eye this week. Um, so we always like to start off with Marvel news, because the House of well, they call it the House of Ideas. They those guys they're working all the damn time. Just you can't go one day without hearing some stuff about Marvel. So
They always pumping out something.
yeah, they're working hard on things, and so we got a couple things that caught our eye this week. The first one is, well, I know you love Black Panther. I know I love Black Panther, and we know the world loves Black Panther because it made over $1 billion, and it was nominated for an Oscar. Just an all around great movie. And Black Panther 2 is apparently it's filming right now. That's our understanding from, I think, a week or two ago. But we got a little bit of a leak, a little bit of a inside information that came from comic book resources talking about the plot details of the Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. So
Hmm.
you want to hear about it, Lottie, or you're not interested, are you? I was being facetious, obviously, but now these, well, there's been a rumor going on. I don't know. I don't think I talked to you about it, but there's been a rumor going for some time about the possibility of Atlantis being a part of the next Black Panther movie. And this is because you remember in Avengers Endgame, there's that scene where Scar was Okoye and Black Widow. They're talking about stuff that's going on, and she's like, oh, there's an earthquake on near off the African coast, and the Black Widow's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? She's like, it's an underwater earthquake. Like, what do you think we're gonna do? A whole lot of nothing. Well, maybe it wasn't a whole lot of nothing, because the rumor has it that, in fact, Wakanda and Atlantis are going to be, duking it out, going toe to toe, you know, or toe to fin or something, like whatever and supposedly that Namor will in fact be making his appearance, and this is also based on the fact that there was I do believe he's a Mexican actor that has been or maybe a Mexican American actor that has been cast in a role, an unspecified role in the movie. So, and possibly to play Namor. So, let's just say this is true, that these leaks are true, that it's Atlantis and Wakanda are going to go at it, and Namor is going to be introduced and all that fun stuff. What does that do to your excitement level for Black Panther 2?
Definitely raises it because I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just like, what in the heck are they going to do? Because you know how much of a big fan I am of dang, I can't believe I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about?
Chadwick Boseman.
No, not Chadwick Boseman. What's the character that said Mepha? I'm trying to.
Oh, you're talking about Winston Duke,
Yeah, you
who
know how much.
plays M'Baku.
Yeah, you know how much of a fan of M'Baku I am, and you know he is a continuous villain in the comic books. Now he's a hero, and of course they got rid of of course what's his name's been killed off.
Killmonger.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Killmonger's been killed off. So I just kept saying to myself, who are they going to put in? And I said, well,
Well, not only that, they killed Claw too. Claw is a
yeah, Claw's
big
dead.
villain,
Yeah,
but he's dead too.
yeah.
So
Like the only other person that I was thinking that could possibly make a show up, but then I'll say no, that would be stupid if they use him for a Black Panther movie, and that was Doctor Doom. So I said, so what are they going to do? But now they're adding Atlantis, so it's kind of cool because now the two technical, well, I won't really call Wakanda a Marvel of the world because I mean they were hiding behind a portal, but it was a place that people it knew existed. They just never decided to figure it out. But Atlantis, of course, is a place that literally no one knows exists, and it's just kind of cool that the most technological civilization on the Marvel Earth is going to go to war with Atlantis, and
right.
that's going to be kind of cool.
And,
So I'm excited to see how that goes.
and apparently, at least according to this little blurb, it's of course it's over oil. I mean, vibranium. That's why there's going to be. That's why they're going to be trying to invade Wakanda. Um,
So,
this. I mean, look, everyone wants the vibranium. They can't have it because the Wakandans will beat that ass no matter who you are. But
we only give
if anyone
vibranium to
had
the ones who
there's
deserve it.
literally in the comics there are three countries or nations, whatever that have tried to and made a good go of rolling up into Wakanda and really trying to take all that vibranium. And you mentioned two of them. One of them is a next door neighbor to Wakanda. I can't remember the name of the country, but it's right next to them, and they've tried to destabilize Wakanda for years. But Atlantis is one, and the other
Mhm,
one is Latveria, and
mhm.
and Latveria is probably the what I think in the comics the Atlanteans they almost literally put they use their whatever their water magic whatever to put Wakanda underwater. And of course Doom is just one of the smartest people on earth, and he's relentless. So you were not off when thinking that Doom could be it. But I think it's this is interesting because the people in Marvel Studios, that the brain trust there, they're not stupid. None of them are dumb. Everything's you always got to think whenever they're doing something, three other things are happening at the same time. It's not just they don't just be like, oh well, we're going to introduce we're going to introduce Namor, or we're going to bring in Atlantis. It's not just about bringing in somebody for Black Panther to fight. It's about giving the rest of the universe other things to do. So they're killing like two or three birds with one stone here. They're bringing Namor into the MCU and introducing him to everyone in a way that no one will be able to ignore, right? They're
Yeah.
also introducing another place for superheroics and shenanigans and all that sort of stuff to happen in the face of Atlantis. And they're also giving Wakanda, which right now is essentially an unbeatable country, a country that literally is unbeatable by any actual normal country on Earth, another nation that can actually give them problems.
Yep.
You don't have to go to space to make Wakanda, have to have a hard fight. You have, a difficult opponent here on Earth. So it also serves to keep Wakanda grounded, or at least, a little more focused on Earth as opposed to having to go into space or whatever to have issues. And so they don't become like, this magical, wish granting fairy that whenever something really huge and important happens on Earth, run to Wakanda and they'll help solve it. So I think it's very smart. If that's true, it's very smart on their part to kind of give Wakanda this sort of foe that will give them a real match. So I'm looking forward to it if that's true. But we're gonna find out more because they're filming right now and the leaks are inevitable. We'll see what comes out of it. The other bit of Marvel news this for the week. This is all about rumors. So first one was rumors. Second one's gonna be all about rumors. But this is a rumor that has been percolating for some time. Now I know you watched. I think you watched the Daredevil show on Netflix, right?
Yep. I watched Daredevil.
So you watched the the Netflix Marvel stuff. I didn't watch all of it, but I have seen Daredevil, and ever since Netflix canceled all of their Marvel things as a result of the restructuring of the studios and whatnot, there's been a question like, oh, what are they going to do with all of those characters? And one of the main questions people are asking is, when are we going to see Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil on the shows? Are we ever going to see him in the MCU? You guys have the right to put them in there. Will we ever see them? And so there's been a rumor for years now that he would show up at some point or another in the actual MCU proper as the Daredevil we know, or at least a version of him. And that all actually became even more. The rumors became even stronger when we saw the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, which was at the end, of course, we find out that Mysterio put Peter on blast and told everyone in the world who he was and Spider-Man and all that stuff. And so then it became, oh, well, Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox is going to come back as Matt Murdock to represent Peter, when he's on trial. And that's been going on ever since they, even before they started filming that. And then we find out that he actually was listed as on the cast and actually was on set to film some film scenes, but not they didn't name who he was. They just said he was there. So obviously everyone's thinking Daredevil's going to show up. Well, now a new wrinkle is that even more, and this is rumors from kind of an insider, I guess you will, a YouTuber that this woman named Grace Randolph, who she has a pretty successful YouTube show, and she's been doing she was a comic writer, but she does a lot of like insider info about movies and in particular genre stuff like this and superhero stuff. And she's been saying for years that this is what's going to go down, but she even doubled down even further and said that she's hearing that not only will he appear in No Way Home as Daredevil, as Matt Murdock, but he's only going to be Matt Murdock in No Way Home, but that he is also going to be Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the upcoming SheHulk series, which hasn't started filming yet, but is close to starting to film. And of course, SheHulk, if you're up on your Marvel, she is a lawyer. So he's going to be there in his capacity as a lawyer, but also suited up as Daredevil. That's got, of course, all of the nerds Twitter. So now that you've heard the whole the rundown of that. What's your take on this rumor? And how are you feeling about this? This particular revelation, if it's true?
Okay, basically, I'm gathering that he's not Daredevil just yet in the Spider-Man movie, but something happens in the TV show, and between Spider-Man No Way Home and the She-Hulk TV show, that he's Daredevil. So my guess, connecting the dots, either one or two things is going to happen. Either Disney is, or either the MCU is just going to canonize the Netflix shows, or they got their own Daredevil show slash movie on the horizon. I think Daredevil will be better as a show than a movie, in my opinion. But one of those two things is going to happen, especially since they're bringing back the same actor. I just feel like it would be weird if they uncanonize this whole thing. So I think they're basically about to canonize his the Netflix show,
Right.
and
Is
it's
that
gonna happen. Hmm?
no? I was just saying, but is that something that you would look forward to? Like if he is going to be reprising his actual that the Netflix role in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love for Marvel to canonize pretty much a lot of the stuff that happened before they decided to make everything one part of the universe. Like,
Um,
I loved the fact that, we had Luke Cage. We had, well, the Iron Fist wasn't that good, but the Luke, Luke Cage, what is it? Of course, how much I am a Avengers of Shield apologist, you know,
yeah.
as much as people might not like the show, a lot of stuff happened in the show connected to the movies. As much as people want to say, "Oh, it's not canon." Well, I mean, technically, because of Loki, you can easily say those were variants, but
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
easily say those are variants. But I don't want Marvel to turn their back on a lot of this stuff. I don't want them because it was pretty good, and I feel like I feel like it'll be easy just to say no. We're gonna just start all over. I feel like they should work a little harder and try to canonize a lot of this stuff because you can do it. You just got to work a little harder, get the story to connect. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna rain on your parade a little bit. I don't. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I don't think that the canonization of the Netflix shows is likely
Hmm.
for one particular reason is that because Kevin Feige didn't have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
That's the main deal, and there's a lot of internal politics that if you don't follow this sort of stuff, you wouldn't know. But there's a lot of internal politics between Marvel Studios and Marvel Television. They were
Hmm.
separate until about a couple years ago, but they were separate until right after the Disney Fox merger.
Yeah.
And when Kevin Feige became head of all that stuff, it became pretty clear because he never ever allowed the movies to show any kind of acknowledgement of the TV shows. There's only one thing that the movies acknowledge that happened in the TV shows. Well, two things, sort of, and that sort of they acknowledge Agent Carter, and
Hmm.
they acknowledge Jarvis from Agent Carter. That's it. Everything else, none of it's real as far as Kevin Feige was concerned. So I don't think that his mind has changed about that, but I do think that he's not so married to the idea of saying fuck Marvel TV. And he was saying that because for professional reasons because he and the head of Marvel TV did not get along. He used to work for that guy, and essentially he got moved into he got the Marvel Studios separate because of his his difficulties with that guy. So,
Hmm.
but that the guy doesn't work for them anymore. Whatever. That said, just because he's clearly maybe has some kind of affinity for Daredevil or whatever, because this has been swirling around and he has not killed these rumors that Charlie Cox is going to come back in some capacity or another as Daredevil, because he's, of all of the Netflix things, Daredevil is by far and away the most popular, universally loved thing. The only other thing that comes close is Punisher. And so now that he's in charge and they've got the IP back and everything, it would be kind of dumb to just let that go by the wayside, especially because there's so much, art. There's a small but fervent built-in audience for it, and also it'd just be an easy, step to the right to just go ahead and drop these guys into the universe. So I'm of the opinion that they're not gonna canonize the Netflix, but that they will canonize the characters themselves. Maybe they'll recast some of them, but Charlie Cox doesn't have to be recast, and they can kind of tell those same stories with those characters the way they want without having to maybe do a lot of the extra legwork. And it just makes the most sense. Like the reason why I don't dismiss this rumor straight up, besides the fact of the source of it, is just that in the Marvel comics, Jennifer Walters and Matt Murdock cross paths all the time. They're not, not just the fact that they're both superheroes, but they're both lawyers. I'm telling you, they cross paths all the time. It makes the most sense if you're gonna have a legal, courtroom comedy with superheroes. Why wouldn't you have Daredevil? That makes all the sense in the world. Like it, and the fact that, again, I said, Marvel, they don't do anything for just one thing. It's never just one thing. It's always laying groundwork for other things to happen in the future. So if he shows up in Spider-Man No Way Home, you can bet your ass they're gonna show up elsewhere. You can just put money on it. It's gonna happen. They're gonna show up elsewhere. So I'd look at it like that. It obviously they're not doing this just to be a one-off or just to be, oh, that's a cool little thing. No, it's gonna be something serious. And so I fully expect Charlie Cox to show up in She-Hulk, because why the hell not? So, and it's very exciting. Let's every time they may as well just be like, every time they're like, do you guys want to see, obscure Marvel character? And sure, why the hell not? Just keep giving us more. I'm like, what is it, like Pringles or whatever? You just can't. One is not enough. I want every single character ever to be on TV or movies for Marvel. So
yes, I can't wait to see She-Hulk whenever she's being a lawyer. Whenever one of the prosecutors get mad at her or whatever, tries to attack her, and she like tornado DDTs them. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it'll be, I just want to see Matt Murdock, because he's so good in the Netflix show. So why the hell not? Let's get it. That's what I say. Let's just get it. So that's our Marvel news for the week. We got just a couple more things here. Found out today that in anticipation of The Boys season 3, which is filming at this moment, they are filming it right now. But The Boys season 3, just to give us a little taste, a little teaser, to get our nipples hard for the next season. They're gonna tease us with the Vought News Network digital series. If you will, and I'm sure you remember seeing these little clips, but imagine, dear viewers and listeners, if you will, Fox News, but even worse than it is now. If that's even possible. It's even more corporate propaganda-ish, but this time they're pushing the pro Vought superhero narrative and all that stuff. And I'm sure you're going to probably hear stuff like fake news and all that fun stuff, but also, when it comes to stuff that Homelander is doing. But it's going to be a digital series that's basically leading us up to the third season of The Boys, which is, if you've seen the first two seasons and you knew all the crazy shit that went on in those seasons, and if you know anything about sequels. It's essentially going to be the third in third season. They've got to go even crazier. So this is just giving us a taster of the ridiculousness that season 3 is probably going to be. So all right, Lottie, you got to take a look at this news. Need I ask if you're excited about just seeing this little bit of a digital series?
Man, I will watch 30-second shorts of the boys if they made it. Like the boys, um, how can I just explain my love for this show? I mean, I've
Do
talked
you?
about it
I don't
with.
know. Do you love it? Do you love it as much as what was it? The deep loved. I'm trying to think. The deep love that whale that got killed.
So, see, my thing that I love that shows like Invincible, um, um, The Boys, I love how they're starting to go away from the traditional superhero thing. And I enjoy because it gets a little annoying. Of course, I grew up with Superman. I grew up with Batman, but like seeing superheroes more human. You know what I mean? Just because you're a superhero doesn't mean you're going to be a good person. Saving lives can just be a job because you're just good at it. Doesn't mean you care about the lives that you saved. You know what I mean? And I just enjoy seeing that. It's refreshing to see heroes just as just as fast as they save that life, they'll easily kill them. You know what I mean? And the boys just it's so good at making you look at these heroes and just be like, yeah, I'd rather live because in my opinion, I think the boys is one of the most realistic superhero worlds I've seen, probably in almost all of fiction. It's probably one of the most realistic ones because let's just be honest. It's just random people got superpowers. You could definitely see a guy like, for example, Homelander existing, and who's gonna stop him? You know what I mean? I mean, of course, there will probably be a superhero that is a really good person, and he has superpowers and wants to save people. But more likely than not, there's going to be a majority of the people that get their powers are probably terrible people. You know,
Or at the very least, normal people.
normal people that you know what I mean. Or like I won't say terrible people. I'll say normal people, like you said, normal people that really, eh, do I really want to save this person's life
Right.
when it can cost mine? Eh, nah, I'm good.
And yeah, and another thing to think of is that, of course, that this is the whole idea here is that it's not just that these are people with super, these are regular people that get enormous power. It's also that they are a commodity, and that so part of the whole shtick here is that this this Fox News ish news organization, they're a propaganda machine for Vought. And so, of course, all of their stories are going to revolve around making themselves look good, the superheroes
Hmm.
look good. And unless the superheroes are ones that are not Vought, superheroes, but also making people who question, the validity of the Vought superheroes or the need for them, or even bring up some of the bad acting that they do is going
Hmm.
to make it's going to gaslight them and stuff like that. Is there it's all going to be about seeing because the boys is really at its core, it's really about sort of shining a light on our own current situation through the lens of superheroes. So of course this is going to be like shining a light on news media and all that, and corporate media and all that sort of thing. And the whole superhero thing is, you can look at the superpowers as instead of if you want to look at it in a real world thing, is well, what happens when you give regular people a lot of power? If so, you could
Hmm.
almost see the superpowers as if, well, instead of being the ability to fly, it's just having a shit ton of money and being famous. You're
Yeah.
rich, and therefore you get to do things that other people don't get to do, or the things don't apply to you the same way. People, you have PR and all that other stuff. And so if you said, oh well, forget about if everybody that you know right now that's super rich and they were trust fund babies and all this other stuff. Well, instead of being super rich, they can fly or shoot lasers or something like that. Take the riches away, and everything else is the same. They're just gonna do stupid ass shit with it, and there's gonna be media that's gonna try to cover that crap up, or to either to make money off of it, to try to get them to kind of play ball with them, or they're gonna slander them or whatever, depending on what direction that
Hmm.
person, that hero or whatever leans into. And so it should be interesting to see how that all works out, especially now that they've been going through the whole superhero fighting supervillain thing. And I suspect some war on terror stuff and all that other stuff. In other words, if you paid attention to media, the way news media has been running for the last 20 years, there should be a lot of that shit going on in there. So
Hmm.
uh, I'm excited for it. I think it should be fun. It's but we'll see. It's just gonna be a teaser. They're just tickling your balls, so to speak, to get you ready for the actual BJ, so, which is gonna
Can't
be
wait.
season 3.
I can't wait.
All right, moving on from such high lofty uh, um, subject matter to something that's
Hmm.
actually it's actually I don't want to say sad. This is more of a celebration of life deal, but nerds everywhere, actually lovers of the film in general, but definitely superhero nerds everywhere. We all took our hats off for Richard Donner, who passed away at the age of 91 this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rest in peace to him. But he was 91, so I'm not sad. That's the thing. Whenever someone lives past the age of like 70, I'm just like, you know what? You lived quite a while. 75 up, you've lived a while. So I'm not so much sad. I'm just like, it's unfortunate, but especially for what I would say is a titan of filmmaking, like Richard Donner, who made many things. Let me just say, many things you like and I like and other people like.
Yeah.
But we're talking
Oh,
about him on the Supercast because why? Because he made
I mean,
no, I was gonna say he made Superman 1, and
Oh yeah.
and and he contributed a lot to Superman 2. That's why I know him. So, your thoughts on the passing of Richard Donner?
it's like you said, 91. He lived a great life. May his soul rest in peace. But I'm pretty sure it's at peace. Lived a great life, and I have to say I have to give him a lot of respect because he helped foster in one of my favorite genres out there. The action, the action comedy. You know what I mean? He's one of the people that started it, and a lot of movies took after the um, the trope that they had, the the crazy cop and the veteran cop.
Oh, you're talking about Lethal Weapon.
Lethal weapons. Rush Hour is one. Rush Hour is definitely one of my favorite movie series of all time. Came from Lethal Weapons. I watched Lethal Weapons. I watched all four. A lot of like movies that I like. They use the same exact like trope and like synergy that he used to make the Lethal Weapon. And he, like I said, he's one of the founding fathers when it comes to movies in general. Like you said, he created you know he created one of the first original like popular superhero movies. You know what I mean? The original Superman movies. And he'll be, like I said, he'll be definitely remembered. He's one of the titans in the industry. And like I said, still to this day, people still use that trope of all the things that he's done in movies, still to this day.
Right. Yeah, he's Richard Donner. If you've seen movies by him and you didn't really know that, or you saw his name and you weren't thinking too hard about it. But I mean, Superman the movie, that's a hugely influential movie when it comes superhero movies. You could argue that without Superman the movie, you don't get you know our current superhero saturation that we have, and I think that would be a fair point to be made. He also, of course, he made the Goonies. It's a movie that I'm not huge on, but other people really really like it. It's very influential. Um, he directed for TV. He directed an episode. He directed on the Twilight Zone. Dude was in the game for a long time. He directed one of my favorites Christmas movies, which is Scrooged, with Bill Murray. I love that movie. So he did a bunch of other things, like you said, Lethal Weapon, and so forth. But I want to also highlight the fact that our current Lord and Savior of the superhero genre, the all hail Lord Kevin Feige. May the sun forever shine upon his house for 1,000 years, so that he can make us more Marvel movies. I'm not kidding. I mean, he wrote a little thing online, statement that he put out. He worked for Richard Donner. I mean,
Wow.
he worked for him. He worked for him as an unpaid intern and as a regular intern, and then as a regular employee. And I don't know if you knew this, but the Donners, his production company helped make the first X-Men. And Kevin Feige worked on that X-Men. Kevin Feige cut his teeth in this industry working for Richard Donner. He learned so much from that man. Let's not put too fine a point on it. We have Kevin Feige. Yes, sure. I'm sure he could have gone and learned under other people and everything like that. But let's just know, this man highly influenced Kevin Feige, who is now, he is now in the position of being like the taste maker. He's the king maker. He's all of that stuff for superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And so do we get the MCU without Richard Donner? Maybe, but maybe probably not, because that guy
Not as good.
They always talk about standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, this dude was a giant. We have a giant right now, Marvel Studios, that I don't think exist without what that man did. Making it look viable to actually do superheroes in a serious way. And here we are now. And we can trace that lineage, so to speak, back to what he did. And so, if for no other reason than the fact that we have the MCU now, we should be thankful that he was such a successful director and creator of stories that made superheroes possible on the big screen, the way we enjoy them now. So. We would say again, rest in peace to Richard Donner. And we should go check out. I honestly think we should go check out his, Superman again. I haven't seen it in so long. Why the heck not? Everyone do yourself a favor and go check out a good Richard Donner film in honor of the great man who just passed away. So we have more news. There's more news floating around. There's always more news going around, but I think that's the good stuff for the week. And I'm sure we probably missed some stuff, like I said. We can't cover it all, but you know what? Maybe you think that we should have covered something else. If you do think so, you can go down to the comments, let us know what we missed. Maybe we can go check it out. Or, of course, you can hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. We'll chop it up and see. Maybe we'll talk about it next week, okay? One of the things, and speaking of the things we need to talk about next week, is probably, I guess, in our final Loki episode. We should review that Simpsons Loki short.
Yeah.
I think we will. We'll review it on the next time around. That did drop today as a part of Loki Wednesday. So anyway, that's the news for the week. So Lottie, I think it's time for us to dive into our main topic for the week, which, of course, you know, the past 4 weeks we have been doing all talking about Loki, Loki on Disney Plus, starring Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, and I can call it Sophie Di Martino, and Gugu Mbatha Raw, and Wunmi Mosaku. Yes, so that's and there's other people too, but they've been figuring prominently in there. And so we have come to the 5th episode of Loki. And so in honor of the 5th episode of Loki, I thought we'd call this episode of the SuperCast, we would call it, what do you call it? Loki Forever. Am I right? Yep. Loki to number 4 ever.
Loki forever.
And it and this is sort of a reference to the post credit scene from last week, where we saw the 4 Lokis extending a hand of, I'm assuming, friendship, or possibly they were extending a hand of we'll beat your ass down to Loki, who is not dead. We found out did not in fact die when he was hit by that little the little pruning staff, but instead he's looking up at 4 version of himself. So so I don't know, why don't we get into the non-spoiler review of episode 5, which called what is it? What the heck was it called? It's something mystery.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Journey into Mystery. There we go. It's called Journey into Mystery. Before I run my mouth about it, Lottie, why don't you tell us what you thought about episode 5 of Loki?
Listen, this is one of the reasons why I love this show so much. The Easter eggs that they drop in this this TV show, are just amazing. And it just gets your head spinning so much, and you're thinking. 2 of the Easter eggs I want to mention first of all.
I would say, though, let's not, if they're spoilery, you know better. Let's talk about the general, generally what you were thinking about the episode.
The episode was good. I enjoyed the episode. Do I say it's better than episode 4? Yeah. I'll give it. Yeah, to me it was better than episode 4. Episode 4 was more, action packed. This episode was a little bit more funny. Like it brought back the humor, and it was, of course, a lot of epic scenes in it. And of course, I loved his interaction with the 4 Lokis. And immediately when I saw the alligator Loki, I was like, why would they have an alligator Loki? Then I was like, what is that saying? Crocodile tears? Oh, okay. Maybe that's what they were thinking.
Or it could just who knows? Like that's the thing. That's the thing.
It's just then I just loved the whole thing. Him interacting with the different Lokis. Sophie. Close. Not Sophie. Sylvia. Slowly figuring out stuff about the TVA, figuring out all this stuff, and slowly her mind is figuring out what's going on. It was, like I said, great episode. In my opinion, I think you're starting to see the budget. Did you see that too? That it looked like this episode visually looked probably the best of any episode we've seen.
No, I can agree with that. There was definitely a lot of soundstage green screenery going on, but the great thing about it is it's not that it wasn't obvious. I think it was obvious that there was green screen going on, but it was it's almost seamless. You know, it
Yeah.
didn't look fake like it can sometimes.
Yeah. No, yeah. It didn't look like I said, I'm not saying it looked fake. I'm just saying it looked like they stepped up the budget this episode. Like you could tell that they put a lot of money into this episode to make
Yeah, no, I
to
get what
make the place look, like you said, to make the place look seamless, to make it seem like they're actually in a different place. It was, great episode. Had my mind spinning, thinking of different things, and like I said, every episode of Loki, I, when you guys watch Loki, do not text while watching the show because you will miss. This is one of the best shows that they throw Easter eggs in, and I'm serious. If you are texting, you will miss it. And some of these Easter eggs are some of the most answered. They answer questions or make you start thinking of questions, and I just love that about this show.
right.
Just love it.
So, well, yeah, I'll echo your sentiments. To be honest, I think I liked episode 4 a little bit more, but only just so the reason why I like episode 4 a little more is just because I think it moved the story along a little more than this episode. This definitely is the prelude to the finale that it's supposed to be. That
Hmm.
said, and I've criticized earlier episodes for feeling like they weren't doing much. This episode didn't do a ton, but it still felt like it was doing relevant storytelling.
Hmm.
Maybe not necessarily by moving the plot forward in a huge leap, but definitely in moving the characters forward and explaining some things. And you're right. This was a payoff episode in the sense that it was paying off your patience by showing you cool stuff that made you go, hey, hold on a second there. Well, there was yeah, this was the Easter egg episode left and right. This is one where you pause and you're like, hold on, I need to look at this scene. Let me just pause this and pick everything out. So it was um, a very
So,
meticulously crafted episode.
hmm.
Um, but as much as I loved all the Easter eggs and everything, I think I don't think I've ever loved Loki so much as I did until this episode. And I mean, I'm as much as I said, I think episode 4 is better, but I've loved this episode. I like for absolutely straight up loved it. It made me do the things that I like to do when I watch these things. I was laughing out loud. I was like,
Hmm.
aha! I had to pause several times to be like, Jen, all right, look what they're doing. I had to do that several times, right? And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, this isn't my opinion. This is Jennifer's opinion. She said, "Is this show making me like Loki?" And I was like, wait, you don't like Loki? She's like, I didn't really like him before now. And she's like, I think trying to make me love him, and I think it's working. And I was like, and now I was just in my mind, I was just like, I was slow clapping to Kevin Feige. I was like, you doing it, dog. You're doing that thing right now, because
Yeah.
Jennifer, she likes all the movies. She loves a few characters, but like, if you're on her shit list, you're on her shit list. And this is turning the corner for her. And I understand in this episode. Um, there are moments of there are some serious emotional moments that come not from our Loki, but from the other Lokis. You know, there's
Hmm.
some revelations you're like, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
There's some straight up badassery in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a payoff from a previous couple episodes as far as character interaction between Loki and Sylvie. There's a big payoff there. There's a lot of stuff that makes your head spin that you're just like, what? The implications are that you're just like mind blown. You're trying to think. You know what? There's a parts in this episode I was like, man, I hope they have a what if. The what if animated show. I was like, I hope they have what if season 2 and they show what if about this, because I would really like to know how this variant got here. I want to know. Like, I'm so serious. I would love to see how that variant got to where they were. And
Yep.
and I had to watch. We had to watch it twice. Because I was like, I know I missed shit in this one. So I'm rambling. The point is, it was fucking awesome. I loved it. It did a lot of really good things. Did it advance the plot so much? No, but I think that's because this is probably going to be a pretty straightforward and or cliffhangery ending to this show. It has made me genuinely afraid for the way it's going to end because I damn them for making me like Sylvie so much because I'm afraid she's not gonna make it out of this. She's not gonna make it out of this, and I'm gonna be so mad when they kill
Yeah.
her off. So,
Yeah.
but either way, highly recommend it. If you're watching this show, obviously you're still watching this, but I think it's by far, just for me personally, the best episode that they've done, and I'm just super pumped. I am stoked. I cannot wait for this finale. Don't fucking screw it up, Feige. Just says nobody ever. So, anyway, I guess that's our spoiler-free thoughts for Loki episode 5. And so, I guess, if you don't want to be spoiled, get the hell out of here. Actually, don't get the hell out of here. Go watch the episode, come back, let's chop it up about this. But if you're ready to talk about spoilers, let's go ahead and dive into that right now. Lottie, tee up the first one.
Okay. First of all, this was a little minor one. The giant Ant-Man mask, helmet that was
What's
just
that,
sitting
Ant
there.
Man? I was trying to figure out what is that. I was like, is that
It's
a
either
I,
I think that's no, I think
is
that's
that
Yellow
Ultra?
Jacket.
I was like, well, I asked myself, I was like, is that Giant Man? Is that Ultron? I was like, what the fuck is that? I literally sat there and I paused and I was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. What is this? Uh, it's so many Easter. I mean, we could sit
Yeah.
here and list every. Like, for instance, did you see Frog Thor?
Yeah.
So Frog Thor. I heard he was gonna be in it, but I was like, "Where's Frog? How are you gonna fit Frog Thor in here?" Frog Thor is just sitting. So who? What a dick move by the TVA. They just put him in a jar, and he can't die because he's just sitting up here trying to jump out. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
what a dick
and
move.
Mjolnir's right next to him.
Yeah.
He can't get to it.
I was like,
Just
straight
asshole.
straight dick move there.
The other one that I liked was the helicopter that said Thanos. Shows we were right that there is there is a timeline where Thanos won, and the TVA said, "Nah."
I was
It immediately killed him.
You know that's apparently a reference to a comic where there is in fact a Thanos is in fact flying in a helicopter. This is like I said, it's very Easter eggy. We can, like I said, we could go on and on. You know, one of the things that I'm not. Well, follow me on this one, and tell me if I'm crazy or not. I think the TVA is still evil.
Yeah.
I thought about it. Even if, and I think Sylvie sort of said something to this effect, and I think Mobius also sort of agrees. But I think they're still kind of evil because they're like, Renslayer's like, well, they're not destroyed immediately. We send them to the end of time for this thing to, this void monster to eventually eat them. And I'm like, all right, so you're still evil then. I thought for a second I was like, oh, when Loki woke up, oh, they don't murder everybody. They just shunt them off into, a parallel into a pocket dimension and everything's fine. Nope, they send you to get fucking eaten by the smoke monster from fucking Lost, I guess.
Yeah,
Or,
it's still, like I said, there's still pieces of
yeah.
crap. There's still massive turds. There's no way around it. There's still massive turds because these people are getting pretty much erased from existence. Just like you said, nothing you can defend. They are terrible. They are terrible
Yeah.
people.
I think it's terrible that they already think like, oh, we're just executing them. That's bad enough, but they're not. It's not just executing. They're sending them into this weird ass Mad Max junkyard world.
Yep.
That apparently the only people that ever fucking do anything useful there, or to survive, are other Lokis.
Jeez.
Just other Lokis all over the place.
Which is freaking hilarious. And they're all hiding from me. The fact that they all betrayed each other.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not proud of this, but it took the second viewing for me to realize that those were Lokis. For whatever reason, I was like, these are just random henchmen.
Well, you didn't know those were
No, I was because they all looked so weird. They all were. It didn't for some stupid reason. I wasn't like, oh, these are Lokis. And it took the second viewing, and I was like, I looked close. I was like, does this motherfucker have a Loki helmet with handlebars for the horns?
It had a redneck Loki,
Yeah.
a Japanese. I was like,
I looked at, I called one of them. I was like, that's Soul Reaper, whatever, from Bleach. That's Bleach Loki right there. That's Iron Fist Loki right there. That's that's Naruto Loki right there. There's one that looked like they were in jail. There's one.
Yeah,
There's Rasta. What's it? Rasta Loki, because his hair is like in the horns. There's just like all. I was like, now I want to know where the hell all this comes. Where'd y'all come from? Like, how'd y'all? None of y'all look the same. Not one of you
It
look
did
the
say
same.
the hardest person to catch was the Lokis.
Yeah.
And they ended up.
And he
It's
said,
so
yeah.
hilarious.
And he said Mobius was like, they're one of the variants we capture the most.
Yeah.
And it was like, which I found very fun. It was, that whole little setup was hilariously done, because he's just like, boastful Loki's like, haha. For some reason he thought, I'll bring you to the lair and then you'll give me your throne. I'm like, in what world does that make any fucking sense? But he thought he was really gonna get. He's like, no, I'm turning on you with my army, and the boastful Loki has the stupidity to be like, what, you're turning on me? Yes, you're all Lokis. Every one of you is Loki. And then President, I call him President Loki. President Loki's like, haha, me and my army, and they're like, nah, we're turning on you. And he's like, you motherfuckers. Not like, again, what? If you want to have a lot of fun with this episode, focus on our Loki. And he's just like, oh my God. He's just like, you guys are so fucking embarrassing. That's, you could just see.
He was us. He was us viewers going like, he literally had the reaction that I had. I'm like, the hell is going on here? It's funny. It's funny and ironic. The only Lokis that were like, nah, I'm not. The only Lokis that were like, nah, I'm not getting involved in this is the Loki that fell in love, the Loki that basically lived a long life, and then the Loki that killed his brother.
Yeah.
Those are the three Lokis that are like, this is stupid.
And the crocodile, we don't know his shit.
Oh yeah, well,
or
we
the
don't know.
alligator. We
don't know what the hell he's doing. Yeah, those are the only Lokis that were just like, yeah, this is fucking dumb. We're leaving.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This is fucking retarded.
I just loved watching that scene. Watching it for a second time, and just watching Loki, the Loki we've been following, watching him be like, oh my God, you guys are so fucking embarrassing. And he's just walking through there like, oh, is this really what I look like whenever I do stuff? It's like, oh, no wonder no one fucking likes me. I just saw that look on his face of like he's looking at he wants to look at the camera and be like, just be like, please excuse my family. That's the look he had on his face. Remember, because he said when he went up the ladder, he's like, we really are monsters.
Yeah, we really are.
Oh
man, I love that part. I love the fact that Mobius was, something. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. I thought this was like a personal hell for Loki's, but I was like, oh, this is where they all get dumped. So I'm like, knowing Mobius, he's still alive, and I'm happy to see that he's still alive. And I just love this joke that if I throw a stone, I'll hit a Loki.
he doesn't know how true it was. Like, And all with the great thing about and that little Loki fight, like every one of them sort of showing their range as they're throwing magic but they're different versions of Loki. So some of them fight more physically and more magically.
Yeah.
So it was a fun little it was a throwaway scene, let's be honest, but it was fun. It was just to kind of establish that Loki really is maybe the dominant species. He's the cockroach of the nuclear apocalypse, if you will.
Yeah.
On that in that at the end of time.
Yeah.
I did also want to mention just the cool, like, since we're talking about the variants. Classic Loki, he's the old one, and Kid Loki are fascinating as hell to me.
Yeah.
They're just fascinating as hell to me. Kid Loki, in very few words, establishes his general badassery. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
It's like, what's your Nexus event? Oh, I killed Thor.
Oh.
That shuts you the fuck up, didn't it? Shut your ass right the fuck up, Mark.
Yeah, why you think they listened to him? He did the one thing that all of y'all could not do.
Yeah, he killed Thor, and I was like, ooh. Well, there's a story that it's like, you don't want to elaborate on that? No, I just killed him. What the fuck else can you say to that kid?
Yeah.
And kind of the awesome / heartbreaking version of classic Loki, knowing almost literally. Well, there's two things about that for me. One thing, I was like, dude, you're a badass. Your illusions are so good that they fooled Thanos, and you just slinked off to a corner and just stayed on a planet for who knows how long. How many thousands of years you think he was on that planet until he was like, I'm done with this, and then he gets swooped up. That was crazy, and also it's clear that he's the wisest of them, because of having time to reflect. The other thing is just think about this. Think about everything you saw in Infinity War. Then imagine that everyone has costumes like they're from the 1960s comic book. Just imagine that whole series, but they're in like the way that classic Loki's dressed. Imagine everybody else is dressed like that too.
Classic, yeah.
And it's like, it looks, I'm sure it looks stupid, but it's interesting though that there was a reality where everyone was dressed up like it was 1965 or whatever, and Iron Man looks like the gray Iron Man, and Hawkeye's got that purple suit with the stupid looking wing mask and shit, wings on it, and Captain America's got wings on his fucking helmet and shit. Like, there's a place where that happened, It's good to know that. Moving on. Let's see. I have a bunch of notes about this one. Can we agree that Sylvie is clearly the best Loki? Like, straight up. Like, just without a doubt, she's the best out of all.
I just like how she just came in and then she asserted her dominance, and like, I guess Loki was like, I've only was gone for like a few hours, but I forgot how she acts. And I just loved how what's that guy's Mobius was just like, hey, she says she can do it. So
yeah, it's like she's really confident. And she's just like, this is a stupid plan. You guys are going to go with this stupid plan. They immediately abandon him and like, yeah, I didn't think it would work. Yeah, it was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, yeah, Sylvie's the best one. She's obviously the best Loki, and there's a good reason for it. I thought about it some. How old do you think Sylvie is?
Like human age?
I'm talking about just going by human years. How old do you think she is? Not how does she look. How old do you think she is?
Oh, she got to be thousands of years old.
Do you think so? I wonder. I honestly think she could be 30 something years old, or she could be 3,000. because we don't actually know how long she's been on the run. If she's 3,000 years old, holy shit, that sucks so hard for her. And a lot of the stuff that went on between her and Loki makes so much sense as far as the tentativeness and how untrusting she is of people and everything like that. If she literally spent, because think about this, classic Loki, he lived however many thousand years Loki is, the regular Loki is, and then he lived who knows how many years on his own in exile. You right?
Yeah.
And if she actually is 2,000 years old, she's been on the run for the majority of, like, the vast majority of that 2,000 years. If she's only 38 or something, like whatever she looks physically, if she's only that, and then then she's the best Loki, clear straight up, just on the fact that she was on the run for so long. But that's, like, I wondered about that. Like, is she old? And no matter how old she is, she's a badass. But, if she's really old, she's lived a super lonely life for a really long time. And if she's still relatively young, she's still been very lonely, but she's a badass just because she's accumulated all of her skills and experience in a short amount of time to be badass at what she does. Or could it be somewhere in between? But she, like I said, best Loki, straight up. Did you have some other spoilers?
Oh man, I feel sorry for the old Loki, man.
Oh, he went out like a boss.
Badass.
I was like, go out like a boss like that. Yes.
That was some badass when that man basically rebuilt the city of what's it called, Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
And the illusion was, thought it was real. I thought he was like, it looked so good that I thought he was rebuilding it. And I was like, oh yeah, it's an illusion. What am I thinking of? So then the whole part of them going like, oh shoot, we have to enchant him, and they eventually figured it out. That scene was a little jaw dropping. Then I'm not gonna lie, what's the woman's name again? The agent.
Hunter B-15.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. They were trying to make her look badass in that scene, and in my opinion, she just looked extremely attractive. I'm sorry. I was looking at that scene. I'm like, they're trying so hard to make her badass, but I'm finding myself attracted to her.
I like the actress. And I want her to do more, but I understand that her character's right. Her character's kind of like run its course as far as the show is concerned. Like, even though she could show up and do something in the next episode, but probably not. I did like there's a part where the two other Kid Loki and Classic Loki are kind of lamenting the fact that we just never changed. They're so mad about everything that went down between the variants. He's like, we never changed. We're always stabbing people in the back and stuff. And Kid Loki says something so, like, on point that this is if you ever need a reason aside from the wanton murder and kidnapping that the TVA does, if you ever want a reason that they need to fucking go away, it's where Kid Loki says, and if any of us ever tries to better ourselves, the TVA comes in and kidnaps us. And I was like, man, fuck the TVA. Because I think it's pretty clear that Kid Loki and Classic Loki are redeemed. They're redeemed Lokis. And the Loki, and our Loki, or what I guess you could call him, Loki Prime, or whatever the hell you want to call him, he's redeemed. Right? And Sylvie, I don't even think she needs to be redeemed. I think Sylvie's a good person straight up. Right? So, but because they're not the Loki that's supposed to be on the sacred timeline, bam, got to get rid of them. That's a great reason to get rid of the fucking TVA. Evil. They're evil.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had a few more notes. I've let's.
Oh,
Uh,
real
oh,
quick,
go ahead.
I do want to say this. That chick is really making me mad. The chick in the this is probably one of the most two
Wait,
faced.
are we talking about? Are we talking about Renslayer, the judge?
Yes, she is by far one of the most two faced. I was like, this little lying, but she really does want to do it. Does she just want to kill everybody and just like, nope, I'm the only one that gets to see these people. Everyone else, you guys, could die a terrible death. I was just like, this woman right here.
I, you know, I had a question about that. Um, does she is she on the level when she says she doesn't actually know who the timekeepers are? Like, I get that she's keeping up, she's keeping things running for appearances. That's why she's not sharing the information, and she's making it seem like, you know, everything's business as usual.
Hmm.
Was she real about not actually knowing who the timekeepers are? I don't know I don't know how to read her right now. It seems like she's on the level, but I can't tell.
I think she knows a little bit, but she doesn't know fully. You know what I mean?
Hmm. It's
It's kind
yeah,
of it's kind of like, for example, you're the CEO, but you never meet the president. All they do is they send you letters or give you commands. You you're hearing directly from them, but you have no idea who that person is. I think that's what it is. She's she has direct contact to them, but she doesn't know who's contacting her. You know what I
well,
mean?
and the better question is, did she really know not know that everyone was variants, or is
Oh,
this
she
new
knew.
star? Is this new star? I don't. The thing is, I'm not really sure right now.
I think she knew. I think she knew because if she didn't, she wouldn't be so quick to delete people.
Yeah.
She knew. She knew.
Well, I also could think that, this is a damage control situation where, because it's a destabilizing bit of information, maybe she just has to get rid of people who know. I mean, it could be that too. Um,
But then if okay, yeah, I see. I could kind of go with that. Yeah.
um, so like the part my favorite parts there were, there's boss moments and stuff like that, but I couldn't help but really like the whole um, Loki and Sylvie sitting in a tree, KISS, not quite KISSING, but I was watching that, and I was like, they're actually gonna lean into this. Like, Sylvie and Loki really are like, you know what? I like you. There was and neither of them are good at it, which is it's funny to
Yeah.
me.
I
But
just like how they were like, "Oh, you actually believe that stuff?" Nah, there's just no
no, it's
way.
like
Yeah, you
like
think it's just a more TVA, just nonsense? Yeah, it has to be. There's no way.
I figured they were just gonna be like, well, maybe we should kiss to see if anything
If it's
happens.
true. Yeah, but it turns out, nah, they were for real. They did not want to, unfortunately. You
Well,
know.
no, it looks to me like, yeah, they didn't want to do that, but I think what's happening is they like each other, and they're interested in trying to find out what's going on, but they're just timid with it right now. They don't know how to approach it. So it's just it's going to be a slow thing. I did like the whole, he's like, "Oh, why don't we share this blanket?" It reminded me of those, you see in movies where a guy does this big long yawn, and then all of a sudden his arm is around the girl's shoulder.
Yeah.
It was one of those things.
I'm
I,
like Loki trying to be a
yeah,
player.
he's got it. I mean, he's got his game is weak, but he's got some. I mean, it's working on. She just never had a boyfriend or girlfriend. Well, actually, I think she has. She has said she has, but the point is, she's never had a Loki boyfriend. So she's giving him some time. Um,
But wouldn't her lovers only last for a couple of days before they get deleted? Because she had to be in like apocalyptic.
she's literally fucking people in the apocalypse. So you know, no long lasting attachments there.
Oh, that sucks.
But she could just keep going back to the apocalypse, the same one over and over again.
Yeah, but then she'll have to redo the
Yes,
whole
yeah,
thing
it's
again
like
because they
50.
don't
It's like
remember.
51st dates, except at the end of it, the world explodes. So,
Yeah,
um,
you gotta get them to love you before the world dies again.
it's like challenge accepted. Uh, I did also like that Loki and Mobius are like they're bros now. You know,
Yeah.
they're serious. You know what was funny? He was like, "All right, Loki, I'm gonna go back," and he held his hand up, and I was like, "Motherfucker, if you don't bring it in, if you don't bring it in right now," and then of course they hugged, and I was like, "That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
that right there. That's what's. My God, if I'm telling you, if they kill off Mobius and Sylvie, I'm just gonna be like, fuck you, fuck all y'all. Don't make me like these guys, and then you're just gonna kill them.
Damn.
Yeah, no,
But hey,
I'm so
yeah,
serious. Like I love Mobius. I love Mobius. Like I think Mobius, Sylvie, and Loki going on a road trip through time would be my favorite. It would be like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but like even better. And it would be my favorite thing. And they're not going to give it to me because I don't get to have nice things. But if they do, I called it right here. That's what's going to happen. So, just a couple more things for me.
hmm
One of them is a theory that I want to share with you. But before then, the ending of the thing, you know, it was like when they were going up against the big smoke monster, and they were touching and feeling all over the smoke monster with their green hands. I love the whole Care Bear aspect of it. They're like together with heart we can do it, right? They join
He held
and
his hand.
yeah, no, it wasn't
He
just a
held his
heart.
hand
No,
longer.
they were holding it. Then they intertwined their fingers, and I was like, "It's the power of love." That's the power.
Power of
Yeah,
love.
the power. The Care Bear
The
stare.
nexus of that.
Yeah.
That-
But what I just watched the end of the episode, and they opened up. You know, they got the smoke monster to step aside, and I was like, holy shit, they're going to Hogwarts. Okay.
oh my god.
The platform 9 3/4 has opened. So, all right, enough of that silliness. Good episode all the way around.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Lots of Easter eggs, lots of fun stuff that they'll never come back to because it's just a throwaway thing. But that's fine.
Yeah.
There's all good fun, and I'm ready for the season finale, the series. I hope it's a season and not series finale. We'll see. So I got a theory to share with you. Last
hmm
bit of thing related to this episode, but this episode really made me think. This is to build on something we talked about in the previous couple episodes about how the TVA does what it does, right?
hmm
So we know that there's a sacred timeline. We know there's a sacred timeline, and that the variants are weeded out, so to speak. They're kidnapped and they prune and all this other. And now we know that they're sent to
hmm
this place at the end of time, and they probably get devoured by this thing, right? But the question is, well, how do they know? Like, how are there so many variant Lokis that don't look anything like Tom Hiddleston?
hmm
You know, there's so many. There's not just female. Every one of those Lokis we saw in that fight looked nothing alike. The only two Lokis looked the same, and that was our Prime Loki and President Loki, and everyone else
hmm
looked different. How is that possible if there's a TVA going around, you know, destroying timelines with Nexus events and Nexus beings and everything? How is that possible that there could be such a divergence that they are allowed to grow up and everything like that? And
Yeah.
so I think I've hit on something that I think may be close to the truth about what happens. And it's just that the sacred timeline is not about a particular timeline being preserved, but instead they're about a particular set of events being preserved.
Yeah.
And I suspect this is because whoever is running the TVA is a product. I think I said this before, but I think they are a product of the series of events that are in the sacred timeline. That they wouldn't exist if the sacred timeline events don't happen. More to the point, that person, whoever or people, whoever they are, They know they are a result of the events of the sacred timeline, but they don't know which timeline is the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
And therefore, the TVA doesn't monitor time to find out if a timeline is correct. They're monitoring to make sure that every parallel timeline runs exactly the same way, no matter what the people look like on the inside. So there's every single version, every single one of those variant Lokis that has gone, that were pruned, that were kidnapped and pruned or whatever. They could have continued on their line if they had not varied from the script. It's not about the timeline, it is about the sequence of events that must happen. And so Kid Loki was captured and pruned because he killed Loki, and that wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, yeah, Thor. He like
Yeah,
immediately after.
he killed Thor. Yeah, he killed Thor. Classic Loki was pruned not because he
He
did
escaped
anything,
Thanos
not because he escaped Thanos,
because
because
he left the planet.
he was pruned because he fulfilled his part of the whole timeline, the sequence of events, until he decided to leave exile and reveal his presence to other people. And as soon as
Yeah.
he started trying to do that, that's so the TVA is always monitoring for people who are deviating from the script. And that explains it explains everything. It explains why there can be so many different Lokis. It also explains why Captain America can go hide out in another timeline, right?
Yeah.
Because his hiding out in another timeline is part of the script.
Yep.
And that's why that particular timeline he lives in does not redline. This am I on point? Do you feel like I'm on point here?
Yeah, you're definitely on point because you could tell like there's certain people um they get captured immediately and there's some that don't get captured immediately. Like our Loki got captured immediately because he escaped the Avengers, you know. Same thing with, young Thor. Young Loki, he killed Thor. And I don't know what Sylvia did, you know.
There's a this is again just a fan theory, but I mean it fits that her Nexus event was choosing to be good. If you might ask, like, well, what do you mean choosing? Well,
Oh, that makes sense.
choosing to be good, choosing to be good rather than to be bad, and because that's not the way Lokis are supposed to run. That's not the way any Loki is ever supposed to act. So without her being a bad guy, but instead being a heroic person, none of the things that happen in the sacred timeline are going to happen properly. So
I mean, it makes sense because, it's like they said, all other Lokis, even the Loki we know, they all want to do one thing. They want to take over. They want to or wanted to take over the TVA.
right,
She's the only one. She's the first one that's like, remember how she looked at Loki in episode 3? Yeah, 3. She was like, I don't want to take control of the freaking sacred timeline. I could care less about that. Or the TVA. I want to take it down.
right.
Basically, she's, like you said, a hero. And that makes sense. That's actually a pretty good fan thing. And it's like, and like you said, people have just different sacred events. It's like you said, it took 2,000 years for the TVA to catch on to old Loki. You know what I mean? And it's just, it is what it is. The what's it called, Loki? His boastful Loki. His, if you believe it or not, is that he beat the Avengers. You
Which,
know what I mean?
which I honestly I don't believe because
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like he's following the script. It sounds to me like he died this, or he would have died the same way that regular Loki would have died. So whatever his Nexus event was, it clearly wasn't, it wasn't like anything to do with like beating the Avengers or whatever. Or maybe he did. Who knows?
He's such a liar. We don't know.
yeah, much less that fucking alligator, alligator Loki. So I'm keeping that in my back pocket, but it feels like that's the most correct interpretation of what's going on. So then the question is, when you're asking about who the hell is actually running the TVA, who's actually giving them marching orders, I think it's pretty clear that whoever it is has to be from the future, from far in the future.
Yeah.
Because they have a very clear understanding of where of the future history of the universe, and they are making sure that it all transpires accordingly. And I suspect it's Kang still, but it could be somebody else that we've never heard of. I was thinking like I always thought like, wouldn't it be fucked up if it was Mobius? wouldn't that be fucked up if it was Mobius?
You know what? It would be really crazy
What's that?
if it's Loki.
It is a distinct possibility that a Loki. I don't know why he wants himself to, continue to lose, but it very well could be a Loki. I would wonder to myself, what does this Loki have to gain from all of this? To make sure that all of the time, how would he benefit from all the various parallel timelines, all doing the exact same thing? So it's a question to answer. We don't know. So
Yeah, that's one of the things that I thought about, and I was just like, who could this final guy be? But then I said, you know what? It could easily be Loki.
yeah,
You know?
it could. We very well could. We gonna find out in a week. We are definitely gonna find out in a
Excited.
week. So, but overall, love the episode. Can't wait for the next episode. I think it was absolutely a masterpiece for having not advanced the story too much. And
Yeah.
so we're excited to see next week's finale. Definitely excited for that. So anyway, those are our thoughts on the episode. What do you guys think about our the episode? What do you think about our thoughts? Why don't you get down to the comments, let us know what you're thinking. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And we'd love to hear from you. All right, this is that time of the show where we're getting ready to close down. But before we do, Lottie, why don't you let them know where they can reach you on social media?
Oh yeah, you can reach me on my Instagram. It is Anukinihun, ANUKINIHUN. That's my Instagram. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN, and of course my YouTube channel, Kinihun25, KINIHUN25. Just uploaded a couple of a new character model on Instagram yesterday and today, so you could look at that new stuff. And also, you can always hit me up, and we could talk about video games, different type of shows like Loki. You know.
Yep, absolutely. You guys heard all of that? Get over there, subscribe, like, watch all those videos. Just generally show love to Lottie. And you know what? While we're talking about it, are you a member of the Super Not Funny Show family? Because if you're not, you know what? You should be doing something good for your life by getting down there and subscribing to this channel. And of course, you can always hit that notification bell to let you know when we drop new content. And of course, be even cooler of you to go and follow us on your various podcasting platforms where we're posting our audio only version of this. So go check that out. Be cool and just kind of give us some love on those platforms. We really appreciate it. All right, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, thanks once again for joining us this week. Thanks to Lottie for coming up here and rapping about all of this stuff. Come back next week when we talk about the finale of Loki, and also stay tuned because we are going to be doing. I do believe we're going to be doing a review of Black Widow as soon as we can, which hopefully will be within the next few days. So we'll have that up pretty soon as well. Until then, I have been Mode Poupe, your resident fabricant and commenter extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by my good friend Lottie, who is a video game enthusiast, anime expert, lover of all things superheroes. And we will see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.